Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Leap Taken. I'm Mika. Welcome to Leap Taken. Here at Leap Taken, I talk all things witchy, craft related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. Today, we're going to be talking about how do you know you're living in alignment with your magic? So, how do you know you're living in alignment with your magic? So, the themes are going to be we're talking kind of a little shadow, maybe some shame, and showing up as your whole witchy self. So, that's the point of this. So, if you're watching this, especially on the replay, and some of the topics that I'm doing, I know this is resonating with a lot of people because what I want to what I'm trying to do or what I've been doing, I want to say probably since this year mostly, is show I want to show you and explain more about witchcraft, but I also want to bring in the spiritual aspect and the other side of things. Um, because and I love talking about witchcraft, so I'll talk about how to do spells. I can talk about rituals, and I plan on actually bringing that back out on, hey, let's talk about the best way to actually build your practice. I want to start a series doing that going into the fall, because I noticed a lot of people are, more newly attracted to witchcraft, spirituality, and all that stuff around, we get to spooky time. But I also want to talk about the spiritual aspect and the emotional aspect, and also what happens when you cast the spell. What happens after all that? Well, what happens is, how do you stay in alignment with this world that you've created for yourself, with these aspirations that you have, these spells, these manifestations that you're putting out into the universe? How do you stay in alignment? What is that to begin with? And what does it mean to not be out, in alignment and all of that? So that's what we're doing a deep dive in today, talking about that. So we're going to get into it. How do you know you're living in alignment with your magic? So this goes beyond candle spells, obviously, and moon rituals, which are my faves. But I'm talking about you and me. But the witch themselves, me. I'm talking about the witch, the version of you that you might be hiding or second guessing or still carrying spiritual guilt you didn't even realize was there. And I've spent a lot of time in that space. So this is what we're going to get into. So because alignment isn't about doing everything right, by the way, I want to be clear. It's not about doing everything right. It's about being real. It's about matching your inner witch with how you actually live, breathe, and move in this world. And that's a big leap. Um, yeah, I know leap taking that, but that's a big leap for some people because all right, I'm already going off. I'm like, I got my words ready to go, and I'm still going to say something different because this is me. Um, I really live my magic. So you got the right one talking about this topic. That's why I wanted to talk about it, because I really live my magic, and I'm very open when I feel out of alignment. I've shared that here. I've gone through moments of that, but let's get back to it. So today we're going to ask some hard questions. We're going to talk about masks, religious baggage, as well, and the shadow again side of magical performance. Um, but we'll also connect with how it feels when you are in alignment. I have a journaling practice that I'm gonna, attempt to do. If you have the Book of Shadows for the Love Witch, this is perfect for there. And we're going to do it together. And a group mirror affirmation to help sort of you drop back into your power. So let's go ahead and go. So what does magical alignment really mean? So we're going to start with alignment it's not performing witchcraft or aesthetics. It's not perfectionism. And it's definitely not gatekeeping your own magic. So alignment is when your actions match your magical beliefs. Your intuition leads you and you actually listen. You feel at peace and energized by your path. So, hi, thank you. It's about three things, but thank you. I've been trying. I've been doing some stuff and a gloss over top. Thank you, Fenty. Um, so I have a question, and I'm going to give some examples. If someone watched your daily life, not just your rituals, would they know you were a witch? If someone watched your daily life, not just your rituals, would they know you were a witch? So I want to talk about what alignment is again while you ponder that question. Your actions match your magical beliefs. One of the things that I do, which, I talk about witchcraft a lot here on this channel. Um, I share things, I show things that I've done. The spells that I've done, I've written them down. So I kind of show that my actions, like it's kind of on display for you guys a little bit. So in one way, I'm kind of, it's like a cheat because I'm showing you. However, for my own self to answer that and to kind of ask myself that, do my actions match my magical beliefs? Yes. Prime example, when I'm fearful, prime example, take off on an airplane. It's something about I'm going on a trip and traveling by air, and the plane starts barreling down the runway and it starts picking up speed. I feel the anxiety come on. Like every up until that point, I was cool until it's that point, and my heart starts racing really fast. And do you know what I do? I immediately start talking to my ancestors and say, "Hey, it's your girl. It's your girl. I ain't ready to join y'all yet. I just ask that you protect me, protect everybody on this plane. I'm sending out prayers to my ancestors." That's what I do. My actions match my belief. Having, I'm talking to my ancestors because I really work with my ancestors in moments of need when I'm scared, I'm fearful, I'm anxious. You see what I'm saying? So, like in those very vulnerable, scary times, that's where I go. My intuition lead, and I'm just giving one quick example in case you had no idea what I was talking about when I said your actions match your magical beliefs. My intuition leads me, and I actually listen. So I got a fresh example yesterday. I'm helping my son, who is now out of the military, do some out of the military business. And he had told me he handled it, and I believed him, and I respect that grown man. Because if you tell me something, I listen to you and I believe you. I'm not the type to come behind and say, "Oh, he don't really have it. He just saying that," even though evidence was showing maybe he didn't have all that he needed. So my intuition said, "You know what?" It led me to a place to get information that I don't think he saw. And I was able to resolve something that has been a month of just a waiting game, waiting for a form. And I resolved it within the morning yesterday by just my intuition leading me. And I listened, and I was able to resolve this. And that's just being for someone else, but even for myself, knowing when to kind of jump into something, knowing when to stop, knowing when it's time to get going. Prime example, my Hoodoo Grimoire. Uh, Me launching that when I did, specifically on a TikTok shop, has been so successful for me. Do you know what helped? And timing, the Sinners movie. The Sinners movie came out, and it has brought a resurgence of more people very interested in hoodoo. And I believe that has been super helpful. But I had to listen to my intuition, which was leading me on the timing. Now, I've been working since last year on the three books: the Book of Shadows for the Love Witch, the Hoodoo Grimoire, and the Hearth Witch. Book of Shadows for the Hearth Witch. But the Sinners movie coming out was perfect, but I had to have the product available. And I did. And trust me, I was doubting myself, and I was like, nope, just my heart, it felt like a calm came over me, which is another thing. You feel at peace and energized by your path. I don't have a sense of urgency in my cottage witchery practice. I don't feel like the gods, the goddesses are going to be angry with me because I haven't cooked in my kitchen in 3 days. The most I've done is warm up something and made coffee. I don't think that. I don't have those feelings. I don't have a sense of dread and fear that I haven't tended to my altars, and that the gods and goddesses, spirits, ancestors, and the fae are going to, knock me around in real life. They're not putting a hit out on me, or they're going to ignore me when I need them. I don't have those feelings. Um, I don't feel like I'm going to be punished by the very thing that I find peace in. My path, I do feel energized from it when I have a successful ritual. Sometimes when I just do a little something, a little, a little sprinkle of magic here and there, it invigorates me. And I do feel at peace ultimately in my practice. So now, to that question I asked, if someone watched your daily life and not just your rituals, would they know you were a witch? It depends on the day, but yeah, you might know I'm a witch. I can answer that question. Yes, it depends on the day, though, as probably most of us. All right, so I want to talk about the masks that we wear, the spiritual mask. Let's talk about that. We all have one. Everybody has one. Sometimes we wear it online. Sometimes we wear it to blend in, and we act like our practice has to look a certain way to be valid. This is not. You said I still struggle with this. Oh, okay. Which part? The mask or the Because I or the what does your practice look like? The question that I asked. But yeah, to blend in. Sometimes I listen. I definitely trying. Okay, so when you're online and you're presenting yourself as a witch, it is very easy to want to kind of get into a character, or a character, I should say, and trust and believe. Honestly, I realize it's been about 7 years I've been on YouTube. Not all of that was consistent, but here we are. I have had to ask myself, do I want to witchy it up a little bit more? Do I want to like start wearing like a freaking costume? Leads to shame, which means I do nothing. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Um, do I want to put on a freaking witch hat? Do I want to, I don't know, do the whole thing, the bit? Do I want to come up here, with a wrap on my head, with a crystal ball talking to y'all? I mean, I do like that. See, but you would know I was doing a bit. You would know it was a character thing. And it would be, the costume, but I would be speaking real knowledge. At least this is how my brain interprets it. But realistically, I don't want to go through all that. I don't want to go through the theatrics. Oh, fear, got you. Okay, I don't want to go through those theatrics. Um, but I would be doing it to put, to I guess. So see, I'm really a witch. You know what I mean? I don't know. Um, because then it's like, see, I'm a valid witch. Look, I got a crystal ball. I do actually have a crystal ball, but I'm doing all the things of not doing it enough. I got you. Um, but here's the truth: the quiet witch is still powerful. The witch with no altar is very much still divine, and the kitchen, the car, your journal, they're all sacred spaces. I'm big on the journal thing, especially for people who can't have the things out. You can't set it up. You can do your magic in your books. You can do your magic in your books. Spoiler, do you know most of the magic is happening in your mind anyway? It's your imagination, it's your emotions, it's all of those things. It's all happening in your head. So when people say that's all in your head, no shit, Sherlock. I know it's all in my head. I know that. That's the point. But where you are confused, me talking to the naysayer, where they're confused is that I know that, but I also know the power of my thoughts. I know the power of my mind. I know if I can focus it, that just because I can't see it with my naked eye, I see it with my third eye, and I know that energy is moving and I'm directing energy within my will to my favor. Duh. No. Anyway, we wear masks because we're afraid of being too much. I guess most folks wouldn't know, but if you know, you know exactly. But yeah, we sometimes we're afraid we're being too much. That's something I was, you don't want to come off too woo woo, and people think you're unhinged. I've gotten to a certain age. It's kind of like acceptable when you get to what people, I guess I'm considered old, by some. I don't. But anyway, yeah, I don't call myself that, but I know, listen, if 35 is old, I know I'm considered old by others. But anyway, because mama's not 35. So I feel like the older you get, you're allowed to be too much, because we just call people like me eccentric, and it's okay. But if you don't feel that, and you wear a mask because you don't want people to think that you want to blend in, you want to be accepted. We're also worried. We wear masks because we're worried about whether we're worried we're not enough. So the complete opposite for some of us, like you don't think you're showing up enough. That's been one of my issues as well sometimes. We also wear a mask because we don't want to lose relationships. This is the most common one. We don't want to lose relationships or respect or our safety. That's the number one reason a lot of us are wearing masks right now and not being in alignment with who we really are. Do you know there's some really talented witches out there, spiritual folk, um, who they have a knowing? Some of them really are psychic, y'all. Some of them, they're not, making money off of it. They just be knowing. you know it's not their career, it's just who they are. A lot of people wear masks because it frightens the others, the mundanes. They get spooked, to be honest with you, with stuff like that. For some of us, we're very eccentric. We're colorful people. We see the world in color. So the way we dress, how we come across, everything is colorful. We're whimsical people. That is part of the bit. That's who we are. And a lot of us mute ourselves. I'm just talking about like just physical, but also inside. A lot of us mute ourselves um, because it could be unsafe to be this, eccentric, to be so freaking whimsical. Depending on who you're around, I mean, you got to be careful. Some people think you're literally a crazy person. I'm just, that's what they'll call. I'm not saying that, but they'll call you crazy. Um, or oh, they don't think you're very intelligent. And if you have a business or you're doing other things, you kind of don't want people to think you're not intelligent. And your respect. Yeah, yeah. So I'll ask another question. And if you're watching us on a replay, feel free to ask yourself and answer in the chat if you want. What mask are you still wearing in your craft? What mask are you still wearing in your craft? And what would happen if you took it off? At this stage, and I'm going to answer these questions because I'm asking you, why can't I answer it? Am I still wearing a mask in my craft? I don't think so at this stage. I would have been. I think the final thing was just not being enough, not doing enough. What Sunflower and Thistle was kind of getting into um, a little bit as well, not doing enough. I think that's a lot of us. You're not. Am I doing enough? Am I involved enough? Am I really feeling this? Questioning myself a lot. That was a mess I was doing. Of just like in real, like if I just insecurity, the mask of insecurity. Um, when I did take that off, which inadvertently happened because I was healing some other stuff, but becoming more myself and being okay with who I am. It's okay that sometimes, I don't have all the answers. It's okay. Sometimes when I do, and no one's listening to me, and I got to be okay with that. It's okay that I don't sometimes I do know what's going on. I know the deeper meaning, and I'm just not saying it because I know instinctively, intuitively, it's not my place. And I got okay with it, you know? But that happened when I was doing some inner healing work and just allowing myself to be more of myself. That kind of was a happy accident that happened as well. Because, spoiler, who I am, being more of me means being more of the witch that I am because it's ingrained in me. But I'll get into that in a minute. We're going to talk a little bit more about Christian guilt, cultural shame, and ancestral fear. Ooh, what we got here? Insky says, because I live with certain family members, I definitely have to wear a mask of sorts, but I have other friends and family who are in the know of my practice. For a lot of us, I think that I'm glad. First of all, let's be clear. I realize everybody doesn't have a friend that they can even talk to. They have friends, but they can't talk to them about this. I'm grateful. I do have people. I could talk to my sister for sure. I could talk to my friends as well. All my friends are not into witchcraft, but they're very respectful and they are open minded. I don't think at this stage of my life, I couldn't be friends with someone who was not open minded and who was scary. Everything scared them. There are people I've come across in my life, in my adult years, and I thought they were really cool, and I really wanted to kick it with them and hang out and do all that stuff. But realistically, they never was gonna know who all I was. Being who I am, I can't halfway be your friend. I don't want to call you my friend if I can't be my whole self. I don't feel like compartmentalizing who I am in a friendship. Notice I said friendship. Other types of relationships, clients, business, work, co-workers, acquaintances, neighbors, friend of family, that's a different dynamic. I'm not expecting that. I present probably different to all of those people. They get a different version of me because of the dynamics of the relationship. But a friend, that's why I don't use the word friend loosely. I don't know about y'all. Everybody can't be a friend. Everybody can't be my friend because I got to be able to be me. Because trust and believe, I'm allowing you to be you. I'm not, I'm going to accept you and I'm a very loyal person. So my caveat is you got to let me be. um, So we're going to hold space for this next portion. Some of us were raised with the idea that anything magical was evil. I remember years back a situation where there was a teenager I knew. Her mother wouldn't let her read Harry Potter at all. This is years back before J.K. Rowling became the psycho person she is now. Anyway, so it wasn't about that. It was about the magic. Now, the mother had never read any of the books, didn't watch the movies, didn't know anything. She just heard witchcraft and said, "You're letting in the devil." Um, and she wasn't gonna let that, letting in evil. Yeah. So even fictional wasn't okay. So even though the teenager didn't believe any of that, and it was like young teenager, we're talking like 13, they didn't believe that at all, actually, because they were very familiar with the franchise. They knew that wasn't true. Um, but nevertheless, imagine you grow up, even though you don't believe that seed has been planted, and as an adult, it's really hard sometimes practicing because those residual thoughts are still in your head, by the way. But anyway, but because of that, some of us still carry guilt. We carry guilt about lighting an incense, pulling cards, or even speaking affirmations. Um, it's not your guilt. You've been in most cases indoctrinated with it, and or you inherited it. Basically, you inherited it. It's really not yours. So we're gonna name it. A lot of it is, we could say, religious, but for a lot of it, it's Christian guilt, cultural shame. That's cultural shame, and fear of being spiritually too free. The cultural shame is very real. Depending on your culture, I'm going to speak from Black American culture. American culture and Christianity are like this. Yeah. Even if they don't, if everybody doesn't go to church, a lot of the we've inherited. I'll just say that because I can go into a whole thing about that. We've inherited the guilt. It's been passed down. We know why. But because it's all interlaced, the cultural shame that comes from trying to read things or be open about things, you know, people make you feel guilty and ashamed. Um, and then I want to talk about the fear of being spiritually too free. Have you noticed that with some people, and this is just in general, some people are cool with like a free spirit as long as it's something not too serious. Like I think sometimes people like the idea of a free spirit person until they see that it's really working for them. And then all of a sudden there's a scrutiny like, well, hey, what's going on? What from lived experience, that's where I'm getting. Um, but I do think, especially for Black witches or those from colonized traditions, there's an ancestral fear of being seen doing this work as well. It gets tricky when you're not doing hoodoo or any sort of ATR and you're just calling yourself a witch. That's a whole other thing that not enough people talk about. But the thing about it is, I mean, I'm good on my end. I actually work with my ancestors. They don't have an issue with how I practice what I'm doing. Um, and it is a real connection. So, and I've benefited greatly from my witchcraft practice and referring to myself as a witch. So we're good. But I would say have a conversation with your ancestors if this is an issue for you. But I do have another question. Have you ever felt shame for your magic? Like even in private? And where do you think that shame came from? Uh, when I first got into spirituality in the way that I did, I was Wiccan first, and there was shame because that felt so European. And I don't think I've ever talked about this, but it felt like very European. And there was some stuff in my head like, what the frick is like this? And then where I'm going to get knowledge and the people I'm talking to, they're all white at the time. So I felt like, what am I doing? What am I doing? And I would have like it was some shame coming up from that. Um, one of the many reasons I decided to come to YouTube is because I wanted to see somebody like me talking about this kind of stuff. That would have helped a lot back then. I eventually did find people like me, but not right away. I didn't see Black names, authors writing these books or anything like that that I was reading. So yeah, there was some shame that came with that. Um, and where did it come from? Yeah, those my culture. It came from all that. Like, why am I? What am I doing? And that I think if I'm being looking back, that also was a reason I kind of moved away from Wicca as well, culturally, and it just I don't think that was something I ever got past. I'll just say that. So I moved on from it. But no shade to anybody who is still Wiccan. I'm telling you how I feel about that since we're talking shame, and I'm just going to be honest and be vulnerable with you guys. All right, so um, integration is the real witchcraft. Alignment means letting all parts of you be welcome at the altar, right? So, all your sacred parts, the curious parts, the angry, wounded, joyful, tired, turned on, and tired again parts too. Um, it's all of that. I go all in, especially when I'm doing rituals alone. However, that comes up. That's why I keep talking about bring your emotions to your altar. Bring, metaphorically speaking, bring your emotions into the spirituality, into the craft. Stop trying to separate it. And first of all, that's where you feel something. You're trying to feel something. That's the alignment part too. You don't need to wait until you're healed to be magical. I want to say that again. You don't have to wait until you're healed to be magical. Your magic is the healing. That is so key. The longer I went without doing any spells, because I felt like I was going through some sort of dry patch in a magical world or something, um, for a host of reasons. Being perimenopausal, I mean, I had reasons. Hormonally speaking, feeling off, and other stuff. But I wasn't doing as many spells. So I could talk about it. I could help other people with it. I could organize things. But me personally, I wasn't doing, I felt like a long time had too much time went by, for me doing any spells. And things were happening that I would have did a spell for. So one thing I know is to call yourself a witch, I think you need to cast spells. However you cast a spell, that's your business. But I I think it's strange that people want to refer to themselves as witches and don't actually do magic. Um, so me living my talk, I do magic, and the more magic I do, the more magical I feel. And as far as like feeling in a rut or going through a healing phase and all that, I will feel more whole and more myself the more magic that I do. Um, but we're not perfect. And none of us are trying to be a perfect witch. We're not, I'm trying to be an honest one because I think there's something in that. Um, yeah. So I want to talk about this live. We're going to do this live journaling and mirror affirmation. I'm going to do something different. It's just a short little journaling exercise. So this is my book that I'm going to be writing in. So let me get to my page. I got my cute pen. All right. So get your journal or your notes app. Here are your prompts. First one, and I'm going to put it in the chat as well. What parts of your magic do you feel most confident sharing? What parts of your magic do you feel the most confident sharing? So for me, I'm going to write it, but I feel the most confident sharing how to build a magical tradition, how I did it, how I build spells, how I make rituals. I like to get into the inner workings and semantics and the deets around my practice. I feel very confident sharing that. Like, get under the hood and how is everything working? I feel confident sharing that and my approach to that. So you want to write that down if you're participating, what yours is. Right? You have to practice. People don't want to listen. I've talked about like lazy witchcraft and all that. And one of the biggest things I always say is if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So listen, life is going to throw things at us. If you are prepped with items and things, so when you don't feel like your crystals are already charged, so you can just reach for it and just try to help ground yourself when you're not feeling your best. That counts. That's magic as well. I'm just saying. But if you never do anything, you never prep, you never think ahead, no, you're right. You won't be doing anything. And then, what turns into days is weeks and months. The next thing is a year and you've done nothing. And to me, you're just an aesthetic witch. You like saying it. Deity work for sure. You like saying it, but you're not doing it. I'm not saying you'll never, you're not a practicing witch. You're a witch in title. Get mad. Don't get mad at me, but I'm just saying. All right. So next question. If you're participating, I'm going to put this in the chat as well. What part of your craft do you keep hidden and why? I keep probably the thing that I keep hidden because there's no way to show you without starting a OnlyFans is more sex magic. I keep that hidden a little bit more. I don't overemphasize unless I'm doing a video or talking about it. That's the one that I probably keep hitting, and that's probably one of the more effective magical practices that any of us can have, to be honest with you. But I digress. Yeah, that, and I also keep a lot of my deity work hidden. Um, as well. I mean, I share within my coven to some degree, but I keep those messages are for me. I don't share everything. I don't share every message for obvious reasons. Yeah, and it's not a bad thing to keep things hidden. By the way, necessarily, it depends on why. But yeah, I keep that hidden. I don't talk too much about that. All right, so the next one, these are journaling exercises we're doing. So we're going to write these things down. Moving on to the next one. If no one could judge you, which kind of witch would you become? If no one could judge you, what kind of witch would you become? So, I mean, I like being the kind of witch I am. If no one could judge me, I'd be probably, let me think on this. I'd probably be more, let me think on this. I want to say more goth, a little bit more involved with the dead, you know. I'd be talking more about death magic, like a lot more, I think. I'm surprising myself by this answer. Like I really just asked myself. Like I had something else, but I was like, "Oh, let's be real. Death." Yeah, like a death witch or something like that. Um, yeah, I probably got to work through that a little bit. Get into that. Yeah, that's going to be mine. Let me work through that a little bit. Mm. Let's I'm gonna think that one out because that's what came into my head. What does that look like? A witch really obsessed with death work. Um, yeah, yeah. I probably have more coffins in my house, like aesthetically. I would also work with the dead more, probably do more ceremonial work, visiting cemeteries, necromancy. Yeah, yeah. Life surprises you the older you get. You'd be shocked. I mean, shit, we all get the more you live, the closer you get there anyway, right? You said loud, okay? Um, yeah, yeah. I'm thinking this out. Hexing, more hexing. Hexing definitely is, yeah, Deb. I think, to be honest, without less judgment, I think a lot of people would hex more. If And even if it's the inner judgment or the judgment of your deities and your spirit team that you work with, you don't want them to judge you either. Even though technically I don't think that's possible. But anyway, well, I don't know what you're doing, so I shouldn't say that. But probably a lot more cursing and hexing for a lot of people. I think if no one could judge you, you'd be a little bit more out and about that, a little bit more, openly like, I curse you, type thing. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying I think we would. All right, so now we're going to do some mirror work. You can use a mirror or you can use your phone. Just have the front facing camera at you, right? So you would be like, and I'm going to do it too. So I'm looking at myself. So get your mirror or your phone ready or some sort of reflective thing, right? And you're going to be like, this is what you're going to say. So say it with me. I am a witch. I do not shrink. I do not hide. My magic is sacred. I am safe to be seen. And that's your thing. This could be your affirmation. I am safe to be seen. That could be an affirmation that you speak after this, but is I am a witch. I do not shrink. I do not hide. My magic is sacred. I am safe to be seen. Because three is a magical number, we're going to say it one more time. I am a witch. I do not shrink. I do not hide. My magic is sacred. I am safe to be seen. And you might want to claim that energy and just get it, get in the habit. This is, what I like to do. I like to look at myself, whether my face is all pretty or whether I'm barefaced, it doesn't matter. I'm going to look at myself and I'm looking myself in the eye and I'm saying this. Um, but this is one of the ways I like to do affirmations. I like to look at myself. Sometimes that's not possible, but at least I'm saying it. I'm repeating that, and then I'll turn it into like a mantra. I am safe to be seen. I am safe to be seen. I am safe to be seen. And you just speak that to yourself, and eventually, hopefully, you're embodying those words as well. And what does that mean? I'm safe to be seen. Who you are. I'm talking about being your full self. That's what I mean. I don't necessarily mean being online or, starting, YouTube or TikTok or Instagram or something like that. I mean, unless that's what you want to do, that's a great affirmation for that as well. But I mean, you being you, it's safe to be you. All right, so we've reflected now. So we're going to get a little more practical. How do you stay aligned when life gets messy? Here's some tips. I think it's good to choose at least one daily act of magic. So maybe you want to create a protection oil and rub that on your hands or you anoint yourself with it. A prayer, or pulling a card pull, tarot or oracle, whatever you want to do. Those are great ways, just, to sort of stay in that alignment. Check in with your altar weekly. Is this still you? Is this still over you on some level? Are you still here, in that altar? Does this make sense? Go to your altar at least weekly. If that's too much, try to aim for at least twice a month. Because I know life is busy. Some of us are working multiple jobs. We got other stuff. Twice a month, right? Pick one mask to shed this week. Something small but powerful. For me, insecurity was mine. Like I said, I inadvertently worked through that through a healing journey I've been on a few years back. But be more intentional if you can, and try to shed that mask. See if you can do at least attempt starting, this week. Um, why not, right? But what's one action you can take this week to show up more fully as the witch that you are? For me, I find journaling when all else fails is a good thing for me to do. To write things down, write my thoughts down. Um, my I'll do scripting as well. I find that's really super beneficial as well. And make it a thing. Get your book that makes sense to you, right? Get a book that your book shadows your grimoire that appeals to you. Use a pen that you only use for this practice. Stuff like that. Like make it sacred. Um, Witchcraft isn't just something that you do, in my opinion. I think it's who you are. And when you live in alignment, you're not just doing spells, you're becoming the spell. And that's a big deal because that's how the magic is working. It's really always you. You petition for extra help, you get the spirit team involved, and they can help. But it's an inside job. It's coming from you. You're making this happen. You're making the things happen. You even noticing the signs and the symbols, that's all you. It's not happening to you. You're making all this happen. Once you step into that, you're stepping into who you really are as a witch, and you're understanding the power that you really have. This is one of the things trying to get people to understand it's really you. Yes, it's all in your head, but just because it's in your head doesn't make it less powerful, doesn't mean it's not having vibrations outside of your head. But it is who you are. That's why when I made the comment about being a witch, that's not actually casting, not doing anything, just being a witch in title. That's what you are. You're just a witch in title. If that's who you are, snap out of it. Do some magic, whatever that looks like for you, but start doing. It's called practicing magic. Anyway, um, thank you all for joining me. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. If this resonated with you, please like the video. Leave a comment with your reflections, the answer to the questions. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Also, consider hitting the join button to join Leap Taken membership. You get wonderful discounts, huge perks over at leaptaken.com, including also here on YouTube member only videos. If you do want to go deeper and you like talking about this sort of stuff or any of this sort of stuff, we can continue the conversation on my Discord. It's called Leap Taken's A Safe Place for Witches. The link is in the description. Come over. There's no, it's just a good time. It's a forum. We can have conversations. You could dip in and out as much as you want. However, tomorrow, will be the second time that we meet up again. So I'm doing a first Saturday 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time meetup every first Saturday. It's virtual, guys, so don't worry about it. If you do not want to be on camera, you don't have to be on camera, although I'll be on camera, but you can talk. We're talking. Together. So it's like if you're not familiar with Discord, it's like a Zoom style situation. But yeah, the point is to come in, just drop in. We're meeting for just about an hour or so. So I come with fun trivia games. Well, my intention is to be showing something, maybe demo something. You can come in and show something you're working on if you want, or ask questions. It's to everybody, or share, or you just kind of want to be in a space where other witches are. It's okay. Come in, come hang out. I'm not making anybody do anything or say anything. I would hope that you will want to commune and talk, but I'm a gab. I talk a lot, as y'all can tell. So don't worry about it. We'll have a time. We'll have fun. But come through, and it's every first Saturday that I'm doing this. So, this Saturday, come through. Yeah. So also go to my website, leaptaken.com. I offer mentoring services. So I've recently opened up slots, for different tiers. So if you need help with kind of being in alignment and building your tradition and all that sort of stuff, go ahead and check out my website. And, the only thing I just want to tell you until next time, live your magic out loud. Um, Live your magical lifestyle. As far as we know, in these bodies, this is it. This is the life that we get. Stop trying to conform. Stop trying to fit in. Um, you're a witch. If you don't feel safe, make it so. Use your power and protect yourself, and make it so that you get to be safe. Use your power that you have, because it's an inside job. It's coming from you, and make it so. That's the whole point. All right, bye. Thanks for watching. Bye.